with Aulia from Recap and also from Kibar.
Hi.
Aulia, tell me a little bit more about Recap and Kibar and sort of all the initiatives that you guys are doing.
All right, so Kibar is an ecosystem builder based in Jakarta, and we're actually also in a couple of other cities. We're in Surabaya. We also have a base in Bali. We run 3 co-working spaces in those cities. We have a number of startup programs under the Digitaraya banner. They run development programs. We have startup programs, mobile developer education classes, and Kibar is actually 3 companies. One is a media company called Rombak Media. It's got a travel blog called Telusuri. It has an entrepreneurial blog called Zillion. There's also under Kibar itself. There's a couple of creative companies. One is called Layaria, which is sort of a talent agency for YouTube. It's the biggest in the country. There's also Kreavi, which is it's a graphic designer community. There's about 40,000 people within the community over there. And of course, the other one is Digitaraya, which is where we're at right now.
Okay. So given we're here, tell us more about Digitaraya.
Okay, so as I said, Digitaraya is the company under Kibar that runs the startup programs, the education programs.
So what kinds of programs do you guys run?
Yeah, we have a program called 1000 Startup National Movement. So what we do is we go to 10 cities across Indonesia. We run seminars, workshops, classes to get Indonesians to find out more about what a startup is, about creating startups, about building startups, and eventually actually creating startups at the end of the program. It's a 6-month program that we run twice a year in each of the 10 cities.
Fantastic. And so do you see a lot of startups coming out of those programs and those people that get to participate? What do they go on to do?
Yeah, so we started in the middle of 2016. We've got so far about 112 startups that went through the entire program, and once they've gone through the whole thing, they go into incubation, and then we have a couple of accelerator programs that we put them through to help them to go to develop themselves.
And that's all under Digitaraya?
That's all under Digitaraya.
Fantastic. Can you name a few of those startups for us?
There's one called Karapan, which is actually here today. There's Exparing, which is it's a system to get you connected to sports halls where you want to play sports and stuff like that. And let's see how else. There's about 112. I don't recall.
That's very many.
Yeah,
that's a lot of names
them.
to remember.
Yeah.
Sure. So can you tell us a little bit more about Recap and your role with it?
So I'm the chief editor of Recap. My background is journalism. I used to run magazines, and I've been in the startup scene since about 2010.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been
long
a few
time.
years. Yeah. Under Recap, what we're trying to do is we write about all the things that's happening in the Indonesian startup scene, but we don't actually do the news. What we do is we go behind the news. We talk to the players. We talk to industry insiders. We find out what's going on behind deals. So a lot of people write about breaking news and all that stuff.
Yep.
We let that, we let other people do that. We try and go behind it, and so the stories can be read anytime. And
So how can people find that content? Is it just in writing mainly that you guys produce?
At the moment, yeah. So we publish our content at recap.id, and we also run the Twitter account, also recap.id, and we do our news in Twitter. So it's short form. People can just read it. They don't, you know how people like to share without really actually clicking on the link, right? So might as well put the whole thing on Twitter and let them
digest it easily that way.
Yep, a lot easier that way.
Fantastic. So here at BNV Labs, this is one of the Digitaraya spaces, is that correct?
Yeah, it is.
And there's an event happening this afternoon. Can you tell us a bit more about that one?
So our banking partner, Bank Bukopin, which is an Indonesian bank, so over the past year, they've worked together with about 8 startups. They've collaborated with them using their system as their backend for whatever kind of payment that they're working on, and they're about to announce 3 more startups joining their ranks. And I think you'll probably be able to talk to the 3 of them later.
Yeah. Fantastic. So we're yet to find out about those until the announcement. Is that right?
Well, you can talk to you can get talk to them after
We'll
this.
see.
and then
We'll
find out.
wait and we'll keep the
Sure,
suspense
yeah.
building for the next
Yeah.
half an hour, and then we'll see what happens.
All right.
On that, it's interesting to see how a lot of, say, banks and corporates are getting involved in the startup space. Are you able to share a little bit more about Bank Bukopin and what else they're doing?
Bukopin is one of the smaller banks in the country, but they are interested in finding out because they're small that they should be able to move a lot more agile and they'll be able to adapt better to the changing environment, I suppose. And since a lot of the banks are actually moving towards digital, it's one of their efforts to actually understand the digital space better and to work to find out what's going on in the fintech field and just one of their ways to get their feet wet.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I think, as you mentioned, there's a lot happening already, some really great, interesting tech that's being developed, and if some of these existing guys can tap into that rather than, I guess, reinventing the wheel, then it's a really positive thing. Fantastic. So you mentioned some of the content in terms of recap, how they can access it on Twitter and all the rest. Is there any information you can share if people want to get involved with Digital Raya?
Well, so we actually actively seek out startups that are promising.
Sure. Is there a way that these guys can connect with you so they can share a bit more information about themselves?
At the moment, no. Actually, we go to them. We go find out what's going on.
So being in
and
the ecosystem,
Yeah.
getting to kind of
And,
know everyone and do the network is
then,
probably
and
the best
Digital Raya
way.
is actually still pretty new. We've only established the unit about 3-4 months ago.
Okay, fantastic.
It's
So very
brand new. It's just so what happened was we have all these separate teams working, and then we only just formalized the whole thing into the 3 big ones at the end of last year. And so I think we're just getting our feet settled as well, and getting our programs all.
Yep, sorting it all out and fantastic.
sorted out.
So it
Sure.
sounds like the best way is to kind of keep on doing what you're doing and get exposure to the network and get your brand out there.
Gotta find out if you're out there, if you're good enough, you'll hear from us.
You'll hear from them. That's a pretty good incentive to have. Just be good enough. Cool. Is there anywhere else that people can get in touch if they want to learn more about BNV Labs or anything else in any of the initiatives that you guys are working on?
Yeah, there's BNVLabs.com, the website you can go to, or you can read about all that stuff at Recap. But with a warning, Recap is all in Indonesian, so if you're in English, you might want to use Google Translate to figure out what the article is all about.
Fantastic. That's a great tip. It sounds like the content is very much worth kind of doing the translate for.
Yeah, I hope so.
Cool. So we'll include a lot of those details and information in the comments to this video, and keep on watching Beach City to hear some more from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.